Hello, everyone. Today we are going to start with The Great Gatsby, a novel, a tragic novel by Scott Fitzgerald. Published in 1925. This is the magnum opus that is called Masterpiece of Scott Fitzgerald. Magnum opus, Magnumopus. This is a Latin phrase for masterpiece. So this is the magnum opus by Scott Fitzgerald. The genre of the novel is tragedy. Let's talk of some important themes first. This is a novel which explores themes of decadence. What is decadence? Behavior that shows low morals and a great love of pleasure, money, fame, etc. Means basically here we'll talk about the people who don't believe in morality, who don't want to be morally correct, but they always seek pleasure, money, fame. This is the common things that generally everybody wants: pleasure, money, fame. But while getting so, here the people will not bother for morality. That is called decadence. This is one of the most important themes in the novel. The other one is idealism. See how interesting this thing is. Decadence and idealism both are prevailing together here. This is how the society is made up of. You will find all kind of creatures here. Idealistic, romantic, pragmatic. So idealism. Then the third one, resistance to change. I think it's a very important concern here. Resistance to change. Generally what we see in the society, when we see the people around us, the main problem that we see with the society, which makes us disturbed always, the society does not get the change very easily. The society does not accept the change. When you ask the youth of modern India, they will tell you the same thing. the most disturbing thing for them living in the society is resistance to change. Society resists. Society does not accept the change easily. Then, of course, when such things are there, then we'll have social upheaval and excess. This novel creates a portrait of the roaring 20s. What a beautiful phrase, roaring 20s. That has been described a cautioning tale regarding the American dream. We talked about American dream in our previous discussions. So here we are having a portrait of roaring 20s. So we'll have to understand what roaring 20s is all about. It refers to the decade of the 1920s. So decade of 1920s means from 1920 to 1930. And due to that it's called 20s. Where in Western society and Western culture, it was a period of economic prosperity. Means just after the First World War, it was a period of economic prosperity with a distinctive cultural edge in the United States, especially when we talk of United States and Western Europe. And other places are also of the concern here. When we talk of roaring 20s, then such things you will find in some major cities as Berlin, Chicago, London, Los Angeles, New York City, Paris, Sydney. I hope you are aware of these cities. Berlin, the capital city of Germany. Chicago and New York, both are very famous cities of United States of America. London, capital city of England. Los Angeles is known for Hollywood, the film city you can say of United States of America. Paris, again capital city of France. Sydney, very famous city of Australia. So these were the major cities of concern of this economic prosperity. So when economic prosperity prevails, what happens? When much more money is there, what happens with the people when they try to seek pleasure, money, fame, and when they don't care for moral conducts? So that portrayal we'll find here. And as it is said, it has been described as a cautioning tale regarding the American dream. Cautioning tale, which makes us cautioned. We'll have to be aware, we'll have to be conscious that what happens with the people. That we find here in this novel. It follows a cast of characters living in the fictional towns of West Egg and East Egg on a prosperous Long Island in the summer of 1922. So when we talk of the setting of the novel, the timing of the novel, the timing is summer of 1922. The famous year for the publication of The Wasteland and Ulysses. Summer 1922, and the places are not real, they are fictional. West Egg and East Egg, as we find Wessex in the novels of Thomas Hardy, as we find Yuknapatawapa, that is the name of the city, of course, a fictional city, in the novels of William Faulkner, as we find Malgudi in the novels of R.K. Narayan. So we have West Egg and East Egg, two fictional cities here in the novel of Scott Fitzgerald. And the novel is The Great Gatsby. And those towns belong to that Long Island. The story primarily concerns the young and mysterious millionaire J. Gatsby. See, here we have a protagonist whose name is J. Gatsby. I don't think this is Indian name, otherwise we could have, pronounced it as Jay Gatsby. J. Gatsby. J. Gatsby. And that protagonist is young and mysterious. And at the same time, he is a millionaire, means very rich person. But one thing, see, this is a tragedy. So when there is tragedy, you will find some error of judgment there. Error of judgment. Or you can say fatal flaw in other terms. And that is, what is that? His quixotic passion. Quixotic passion. What is quixotic? Quixotic means impracticality in pursuit of ideals. So he is a person who is not very practical, who is impractical while following ideals. In pursuit of ideals, he is not a person of practicality. He is very impractical person. Means he is not pragmatic. He tries to be idealistic. And in that endeavor, of course, he fails because he is not aware of the practical situation. So, this protagonist, J. Gatsby, has quixotic passion. And see this, I think this quixotic word has been derived from Don Quixote, that is a picaresque novel by Cervantes, Spanish novel, very famous one. Whenever we'll have to talk of picaresque novel, then we cannot forget the name of Don Quixote. So, J. Gatsby has quixotic passion and obsession with the beautiful former debutante Debutant Daisy Buchanan. Why former? Means X, you can say EX. Because she is no more debutant. What is debutant? This word is actually made by, debut. When a writer writes the first novel, that is called debut novel, DEBUT, debut novel. Or when an actor or actress appears in the first movie of his or her, that is called his debut role. So, debut. When a young upper class woman, an aristocratic woman, comes for the first time in the public domain in search of a good, you can say, a good match. Yes. So she belongs to upper class society. She is a woman. She is an aristocratic woman. So there was a time when she was there. She was introduced for the first time in public. And from that very time, he has obsession towards her. Actually, now she is married. She is married. Daisy is married. But he still has that obsession towards her. J. Gatsby. And that ultimately, that connection with her that he has, that ultimately leads him to his death. Of course, that death was chosen by Gatsby. I mean, he was aware of the consequences. We'll see how that happened. When we talk of the major characters, the first one that we have is Nick Carraway. NickCarraway. Nick Carraway. A Yale University graduate. First World War veteran. Veteran, you understand, that's a very beautiful word. War veteran is a very, famous phrase. The person who sometimes fought in the war and now has the consequences of that with his personality and family. That is veteran. And veteran is also used for, the people who were, sometime they are in a particular field and now they are retired. We use the phrase veteran actor, veteran cricketer. So he is a war veteran. In the First World War, he fought. Nick Carraway. The interesting thing that we have, his role. He serves as the first person narrator of the novel. You understand first person narration in the novel? See, for example, David Copperfield. That is an autobiographical novel by Charles Dickens. There we have David. He narrates the whole story. So sentences go like that. I saw that person. I visualized it. I met with that person. So this is how the narration goes on in first person. So that is called first person narrative. And the narrator who is there in the novel can be the author himself or someone else. Sometimes people get confused with the term narrator and author. See, when you talk of David Copperfield novel, The author is Charles Dickens, but the narrator is David Copperfield. Many a times in third person narration or omniscient narration, we find the narrator and the writer or the author both are same. But in first person narration, that can be different, obviously. For example, when we talk of the novels based on Sherlock Holmes, as there is a novel prescribed in UG syllabus here in Vinoba Bhai University, Hound of the Baskerville. There you find the novel based on Sherlock Holmes. So the protagonist is Sherlock Holmes and the writer is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, but the narrator is Dr. Watson. So you will see and understand and feel Sherlock Holmes with the eyes of Dr. Watson. So here in the novel The Great Gatsby, where the name of the author is Scott Fitzgerald, but the name of the narrator is Nick Carraway. He is first person narrator. Who is he by profession? He is a bond salesman and never of Gatsby. And that's why, we'll see Gatsby, we'll meet Gatsby with the eyes of Nick Carraway, as if he says, "Meri aankhon se dekho." So we'll have to see the whole story, the plot, with his eyes. He is kind of Sanjay in Mahabharata. Okay. What are his characteristics? He is easygoing, occasionally sarcastic, and somewhat optimistic. That's a very good thing. He is optimistic, but what happened later? His optimism fades away with the passage of time. He is more grounded and more practical than the other characters, and that's why he is the narrator here. More grounded and more practical than other characters. So see, for example, when you talk of J. Gatsby, he is a person of quixotic passion. So how can you expect from a person who is having that quixotic passion to be that much practical, that much pragmatic in nature? J. Gatsby, once again come to the protagonist, a young mysterious millionaire with shady business connections. Means his business connections is not very much apt here, not very much clear here in the novel, and that's why he is mysterious. He is also said to have briefly studied at Trinity College, Oxford in England. Of course, he is millionaire. So see, the first character that we introduced was Nick Carraway. He is a Yale University graduate. And here we are having J. Gatsby. It is said that he studied for some time there in Oxford, in England. See, it's very interesting to know, the name of the places. It's important to mention that we are talking of Oxford in England. Why? Because many of the cities those we find there in England, the similar cities we'll find there in America as well, in USA as well, with the prefix new. For example, we have Yorkshire in England. So we have New York in America. We have Los Angeles in England. So we have New Los Angeles in America. We have Oxford there in England. So we have New Oxford there in America. And interestingly enough, within America you will find New England. Whenever you'll have to talk of Ralph Waldo Emerson, you cannot forget the name New England. Okay. So let's talk of Daisy Buchanan, who is a person of concern very much there in the novel. Why? She is a lady connected with the protagonist J. Gatsby. And attractive, though shallow and absorbed. So she is attractive, means she may be beautiful. Though shallow, means not very deep in nature, means not very, person of high emotion. Self-absorbed, means she seems to be self-centered, does not care much for others. Young debutante identified as flapper. See, flapper is very important term here. Flapper. Flappers are very much there in Roaring Twenties. When you will see the identity of the woman at the time in England or America, there was a culture there. See, have you heard about hippie culture? Or just hippie? Are you aware of the bob cut? कैसे बालों को काट करके छोटा करके रहा जाता है? And specifically the garments, skirts, means very fashionable kind of clothes and very fashionable kind of haircut. And the women who used to just eat, drink and be merry, just enjoying the life, having pleasure, who don't care much about relationships, casual sex, or smoking, such kind of activities they used to do. So that category of women at that time were known as flappers. So she is identified as a flapper. So it means Daisy Buchanan is not just a single character. She is a typical character. Typical character means who is a type in herself, who is the representative of a particular class, and that is of flapper, the identity of a particular kind of women at that time. Before she married Tom, so now she is married to Tom, that is Thomas Buchanan. She had a romantic relationship with Gatsby. And that's why even now this Gatsby has that obsession towards her. So, her choice between Gatsby and Tom. So, two are there. One is the person with whom she had a relationship earlier, and now the husband, that is Tom Buchanan. She is not having good relation with the husband, and that's why there we find a conflict in her choice between Gatsby and Tom, and that is the central conflicts, one of the central conflicts in the novel. So that should also be our concern while talking of this novel, while talking of Daisy's character. We'll have to talk of that conflict that prevails in throughout the novel. Then Thomas Buchanan. See again, Gay Gatsby was a millionaire, and now the husband is also a millionaire. A millionaire who lives in East Egg, and Daisy's husband. He is, but what kind of man he is? He is an imposing man who imposes everything on others, who imposes his thoughts, his ideology, his behavior. An imposing man with muscular build, means he is very healthy also. He was a football star. Of course, when he is a player, then of course he is person of muscular build. A football star at Yale University. It means he also studied there in Yale University. Then we have Jordan Baker. Who is Jordan? An amateur golfer and Daisy's long-time friend. She's a girl. Jordan Baker, Daisy's long-time friend and Nick Carraway's girlfriend. She has a shady reputation. Why? Because of rumors that she had cheated in a tournament, and that's why she has lost her social reputation. It is believed it was a kind of rumor that she cheated in a tournament. Then we have George W. Wilson, a mechanic and owner of a garage. His wife, Myrtle Wilson, as well as Tom, dislike him. So Tom, who is Tom? This Tom Buchanan, the husband of Daisy Buchanan. Why does he dislike George W. Wilson? Because she is in a relation with his wife, George W. Wilson's wife, and her name is Myrtle Wilson. So Myrtle Wilson and Tom both dislike this person, George W. Wilson. And I have written here wrong. That is not talk describes, that is Tom describes. Tom describes him as so dumb. He doesn't know he is alive. I hope I was in a hurry while writing this. Some mistakes are there. Okay. Tom describes him as so dumb he doesn't know he is alive. At the end, he kills Gatsby. So a question arises here. Why has he killed Gatsby? As the question we have in Bahubali, in the end of the Bahubali. Why did Katappa kill Bahubali? And the answer of which we got in Bahubali 2. But the answer of this we'll find here at once. He kills Gatsby. Why? Wrongly believing that while driving, Gatsby killed his wife and then kills himself. Actually, what happened? By mistake, Daisy was driving and George Wilson's wife, that is Myrtle Wilson, she comes in the front and an accident took place and she was killed. But as we have the novel The Great Gatsby, so the Great Gatsby, this J. Gatsby took the charge for himself. He said that he took that blame. He said that he was driving the car, and when the car met with an accident with his wife, Wilson's wife, he was a driver, so ultimately he is the person who is to be blamed. So Wilson knows that only thing which is told to him. So Wilson killed Gatsby. After killing him, he kills himself also. See, this killing someone else and then committing suicide is called murder suicide. There is a phrase there, murder hyphen suicide or homicide suicide. Okay. Then Myrtle Wilson, George's wife and Tom's mistress. So she is the wife of George Wilson, but she is a mistress of Tom. That Tom Buchanan, who is the husband of Daisy Buchanan. See the relation. How Daisy is connected with J. Gatsby and her husband Tom Buchanan is connected with Myrtle Wilson, the wife of George W. Wilson. She is desperate to find refuge from her disappointing marriage. She is not satisfied with her marriage. That's why she was not having good relation with her husband. And even then, see how here when George W. Wilson knew that she met with an accident while Gatsby was driving, he killed Gatsby. She is desperate to find refuge from her disappointing marriage. She is accidentally killed by a car driven by, actually that was the car of Gatsby, obviously, but Daisy was driving. As she thinks it is Tom still driving. So she was, there. She was calling that person Tom, but Tom was not there. Daisy was driving and she was killed after meeting with the accident. Gatsby takes the blame for the accident, and in consequence of that, he was killed by George W. Wilson, that mechanic and owner of the garage. Then at the last we have a character, Mayor Wolfsheim. Mayor, the spelling is not M-A-Y-O-R, that is M-E-Y-E-R, Mayor Wolfsheim. He is a Jewish friend, J-A-W-I-S-H. You understand Jewish? Jewish is a person who belongs to a religion called Judaism. Judaism. As we have Christians from Christianity, Hindus from Hinduism, Muslims from Islam, so we have Jews from Judaism. They are known as Yahudi in Hindi. And who can forget Shylock, that Jewish character who was more sinned than sinning in Merchant of Venice, a tragic comedy by William Shakespeare. So here we have Mayor Wolfsheim, a Jewish friend and mentor of Gatsby, described as a gambler. Gambler, you understand? For understanding gambler, you must watch the movies of Imran Hashmi, who fixes match. See, fixing the match doesn't mean only cricket. Match can be of any sport. So here we have a gambler, Mayor Wolfsheim, who is known for his gambling in 1919 World Series, and that was of baseball. He appears only 2 times in the novel, and in the second time when we see him, he refuses to attend the funeral of Gatsby. Yes, after the murder of Gatsby, when the funeral was taking place, his friend and mentor refuses to attend that funeral. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.